The school bell rang, echoing through the crisp autumn air as students flooded the playground. In a quiet corner near the benches, a lanky boy named Jake Sullivan, 14 years old, sat cross-legged with his worn backpack beside him. Life had taught him to be tough. His father worked 2 jobs, his mother had passed when he was 6, and there was rarely enough food to fill the fridge, let alone his dreams. Yet, Jake always carried a sense of silent pride. Today, he had a peanut butter sandwich, a banana, and a juice box backed by his tired but loving father before his overnight shift. To Jake, it was more than just a meal. It was a piece of home. Then he saw her, a little girl, no more than 7, sat near the swings, her shoulders trembling. Her backpack was torn, and her mismatched socks peeked out from scuffed shoes. Her name was Emily, a new student in the school, unknown to most and noticed by none. She was crying quietly, hugging her knees as the world moved around her. Jake hesitated, unsure if he should step in, but something in her sobs stirred something deeper than pity. It reminded him of his own days, lost and small after his mom's funeral. Sitting alone with no one to ask why he was hurting, without a word, he walked over, sat beside her, and gently offered his lunch. I'm not that hungry today, he said, lying with a smile. Emily looked at him, confused, then at the sandwich in his outstretched hand. Her eyes widened with gratitude. She didn't speak, just nodded, tears now falling for a different reason. Jake never asked her name. He just sat there until her breathing slowed, until she finished the last bite. Then the bell rang again, and they both went their separate ways. That was it. Years passed. Jake grew up and left the small town behind. He worked construction through college, then became a firefighter in the city. Life was never easy, but it was honest. His father passed away. He never married, never had children, but he loved serving others. He didn't remember the little girl from school. In fact, he had no idea his act of kindness had ever mattered. Until the night everything almost ended. A building had collapsed during a warehouse fire. Jake, now 42, was the last man, and a beam came down, crushing his left leg. The smoke choked his lungs, and when they pulled him out, he was barely breathing. The ambulance rushed him to St. Mercy's Hospital, where doctors prepped him for emergency surgery. His vitals were crashing, the bleeding was internal, and time was slipping fast. In the operating room, a poised young surgeon with steady hands took charge. Her colleagues called her Dr. Emily Rhodes, one of the brightest trauma surgeons on the East Coast. But as she looked down at the unconscious man on the table, her fingers trembled. She knew that face. That same calm, generous face she had memorized as a child. The boy with the peanut butter sandwich. The boy who didn't need a thank you. The boy who disappeared into time but never from her memory. She whispered under her breath. Not today. I owe you. For the next 5 hours. She led the team like a general in battle. Every incision, every stitch, every decision made with unwavering focus. No one knew the story behind her determination, only that she refused to let him die. When Jake awoke days later in a hospital bed, tubes down his throat and pain surging through his limbs, the first thing he saw was a kind face sitting by his side. Welcome back. The woman smiled, her voice gentle but full of emotion. You probably don't remember me. He blinked slowly, dazed. You gave me your lunch when I was a crying little girl. She continued, tears welling up. You didn't know me, you didn't ask anything. But that act, it changed me. I became a doctor because of that moment. Jake tried to speak, but his throat was dry. You saved me, and now, I've saved you. There was silence between them, a silence filled with years of unspoken meaning. Jake couldn't believe it. A forgotten act of kindness had come full circle in the most unexpected, miraculous way. From that day on, they kept in touch. Emily often visited him during rehab, sometimes bringing homemade sandwiches, peanut butter. Just like before, Jake healed slowly, but with a new sense of purpose. He began speaking at schools and hospitals about the power of small kindnesses, about how the smallest choices can echo for decades. One afternoon, while sharing his story at a local high school, he looked out into the crowd and said, kindness doesn't always show its rewards right away. Sometimes, it hides for years, but it never vanishes. It grows quietly, until one day, it saves your life, literally. Even the simplest act of kindness can shape someone's future in ways we may never see. In a world rushing past, be the person who stops. Be the one who gives, even when you have little, because one day, that moment may return when you need it most.